Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to this session. This is our second webinar series event for the Digital Nomad office in Valencia. Very excited to be here today. Special event about fallas. And this is a topic that especially I love because I love this festivity. So I'm really excited for the presentations that we have here today. So I'm going to start first presenting myself. Nice to meet you. I'm Ana Lino. I'm head of community and events here at the Valencia Nomads Hub, and I'll be hosting the event for you tonight. We're going to have very special guests today. We're going to start with Xavi Serra, that's the CEO and co-founder of Valua. Then we're going to talk to the Fallera Mayor, Malisa Nin Faiten, which is an American Fallera Mayor. This is going to be a really cool story about her experience as a Fallera in Valencia. And then we'll finish up talking to Oscar Sanchez, which is the director here at the Valencia Nomads Hub. And he's going to talk about initiatives that he is also working on related to fallas. So this is to go a little bit beyond all of the cultural and touristic side of fallas that's been there, we already know. We're going to go looking into logistics, into the business side of fallas to truly understand how can the city make such a beautiful event happen and be so successful and known worldwide. So before we get there, I just say a few words about the Valencia Nomads Hub. One sec, that I need to also admit someone. Okay. So the Valencia Nomads Hub started last October, and we've been working on this structure to help integrate nomads within Valencia. So our goal is to be the bridge between the digital nomads that are currently living here, understood by highly qualified professionals that work in companies or on their own businesses that are situated outside of the borders of the country. So the idea is to connect them to the local innovation ecosystem here in Valencia, which we know that is boiling, there's so much happening. And this is the goal of this office here at the Valencia Innovation Capital. We're gonna do that by having our handbook. I'm gonna show you a quick image about the handbook, but on the handbook, you're gonna find several useful links that can connect you to different experiences in the city and as well as events, discount codes for events, and several other things. We have a map of places that you can work on, and I'll show an image for you of the handbook soon. Then we have the newsletter that we're going to be sending continuously, in which we're also going to be making diffusion of other events that are related to our mission and vision for this office. Then we have our own events. So we intend to have around 10 to 12 events this year. And so we are in one of them now. A few of them are going to be webinars. A few of them are going to be in person. And I hope to see you all on all of them. And finally, the community. We manage a community on WhatsApp. And the idea is to create this connection between digital nomads as well. So you can connect with each other and get to know more people in Valencia while you're here. So this is our handbook. This is our MVP of the handbook. Here you're going to find a place to sign up on our census. That's really important because we really want to know how many people are living in Valencia in this format as a digital nomad. Then, as you can see, you'll find several other kinds of information, such as a checklist for your arrival, so you can make sure that you're ticking all of the boxes that are necessary. You're going to find information for housing and accommodation, working spaces, mobility, communities that you can join, and lots of other information. Here are some of the events that we're planning on doing this year. We're on the third one now, so we still have a lot to look forward to, looking ahead. So sign up to our newsletters, stay in touch with us on LinkedIn, on Instagram, so you can join our WhatsApp group so you can know everything. So here's a QR code. If you're not at the WhatsApp group yet, please scan this QR code so you can join us there. That's where we're going to be communicating all of these new opportunities and events coming up. Cool, perfect. So thank you very much for being here today once again. And now we're going to start with our presentations for today. So we're going to have 2 presentations and 1 pitch. It's going to be a very dynamic model. And then by the end, we're going to have a Q&A session on the Ask Me Anything kind of way. So please prepare your questions for the end, and I can't wait to hear them. Perfect. So now, starting with Xavi Serra, I would like to invite you to please present yourself first of all, and then continue with your presentation. You're still on mute, Xavi. You're on mute.
Now?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, everyone. So first of all, thanks, Anna. Thanks, Valencia Nomads Hat, for inviting me for this session. So as you see, this is me with a bias note. So I will show you, first of all, I will introduce myself. I'm Xavi Serra. I'm a Fallas passionate. So since I was child, I was watching Fallas in Valencia and I was impressed. And 20 years ago, I started a blog in Valencian language, Malal de Falles. Well, after that, I have created some reference, some kind of influencer for Fallas. So I'm gonna introduce you to the whole vision of the Fallas and also the business side of the Fallas, the business behind the Fallas, and also with my startup called Malva. So I'm gonna share my first presentation. So sorry. We will start at the beginning. So first of all, Fallas. Where does Fallas word comes? So from Latin word falla, facula, that it means torch. So the fire is inside the word Fallas. It's not a coincidence. It's real. Fallas comes from a Latin word that means fire, in fact. So we have a mix of fire, for sure, art, satire, and community. So welcome to this presentation, not to the Fallas, because we have passed last March. So as I said, in March, maybe you will see me next to Ninots in the Fallas. So I take pictures from most of the Fallas. I visit every year more or less 180 Fallas. So I I know quite well how Fallas are made and the Fallas culture. So first of all, why we want barn art? It's the first question that everyone puts when he or her or she discovers Fallas. Well, in fact, it's the idea of renewal, the idea of changing from the winter to the spring, is the idea of renewal, the burning bad things to get to a new cycle, to renew, to get a hope in new things. That's the main idea, the simplest idea on Fallas. When and where? For sure, Valencia, you know Valencia, so you know where we are located. It takes place from 15th March to 19th, but it's sure that Fallas in Valencia takes more or less all the year because all the city is implied in many activities related with Fallas. From 2016, Fallas are in the list of UNESCO intangible cultural heritage, and well, it's quite important this title. What is a falla? It's the main feature of the fest. So there are big sculptures made of multiple sculptures called ninots, and the themes are satire, current events, traditions. So we burn bad things to be showcased to everyone in the street. It's a free festival. You can visit every falla throughout the city, and for sure, we build to be burned on March 19th. Quick vocabulary. So ninot is a sculpture like this one, or maybe this one. Well, no matter the size, but this is the MVP in business terms. This is the MVP for a falla, the ninot. The planta is a Valencian word for the installation for the building of the falla in the street. Crema is the Valencian word for burning. Mascleta, what you see every day from March 1st to 19th in the town hall and also in all the neighborhoods in Valencia, not only in the town hall square. So a bit of history, the Fallas roots. The Fallas are linked to carpenters, so they burn the waste of the workshops to renew, to burn everything, and it's more or less related with Saint Joseph, but it's not clear. So in the more original way of thinking about Fallas is a fest related with the change of the off-season, not a religious one, but Saint Joseph is the patron of carpenters, so it has some relation. From bonfires to figures. So this is more or less the history of the first fires, some wood waste that seems a sculpture. We put clothes on and it represents people of the neighborhoods. Some criticizes some situation, some politics, some public famous, no matter what. And the original fallas comes more or less the first reference from the beginning on 18th century. It depends on the source, but more or less. So this is the evolution of the primitive, the first fallas to the current fallas. At the 20th century, there is a big explosion on the size, on the dimension of the fest. So there are larger budgets, there are bigger fallas, as you see in this one, in the Central Market Square in the center of Valencia. And it's important to remark that in 1929, there is the first official poster of Valencia for promotion. So people in Valencia takes the idea for, okay, we have a big fest, we should promote to attract people to our city, like you, like the Nomads. So you come. So this is a first idea of attracting people to transform, to develop a tourism approach for the fallas. For sure, as I said before, in 2016 we were declared intangible cultural heritage from UNESCO. And why? Because we focus on community, for sure, because we make a transmission from one generation to another, from grandparents to parents to sons to doctors, and this is the transmission of the values from every generation, and for sure it implies visibility and also responsibilities. It's a quite important title, as I said. What makes a falla? The structure of the falla? Well, we have some base, some mainly wood. We have the main ninot, the center of the falla, as you see, this woman, and also you have some critique with humor and with local and global themes. Trump was very present in Las Fallas for obvious reasons, and for sure it's very visual. This is like some type of storytelling, but in sculpture. Every falla has a meaning. As I said, we have the title, the main message, the scenes around the falla, and the captions in Valencian. You can take with ChatGPT and you can translate. It's very easy to translate, or whatever AI tool. Who creates the falla? The artista fallero, the fallas artist. That is a designer, that is a sculptor, and he is or she is surrounded by carpenters, modelers, painters, and also 3D designers. Now 3D digital tools are very present in fallas, as I will show you after that. The planta is the moment where fallas become a reality. So we are working on the workshop and we get out the different pieces, the different notes to build into the street. You have seen maybe cranes, crews, and also there are fallas artists try to prepare the falla for a contest, because every falla participates in a contest. As I said, judging and awards. We have every falla is classified by budget. Okay, we have the biggest section, the biggest falla, that is the special section, and there are others depending on the budget. Okay, and also there is a contest where the town hall gives awards to every falla, every sculpture in the street. As you see in the image, you see the first prize of the special section from 2025, 2 fallas ago. Well, we should save some ninot. Why we should save some ninot? Well, in fact, every year we save 1, in fact 2 ninots from the falla, and you can go to the ninot exhibition in Arts and Science City, and you can visit the Exposición del Ninot, where you can vote some kind of shape, some kind of representation of every falla. You have a ninot, and you can vote for it. So we can save Disney Knot. You can save Disney Knot from the fire, and you can visit at Museo Fallero every knot saved from the fire from, I think, 1940s, more or less. It depends, okay? So it remains some kind of memory of its year's style. As you can imagine, Fallas is not only a thing, a festival located in the center of Valencia. You can see Fallas all around the city. As you see in this map, you can see a point of every falla placed in Valencia. I will check for Marisa Falla. I think Marisa's falla is on the north, more or less. So it's more or less in this situation. So as you see, you can see the most important fallas in the center for sure, but the Fallas Fest is a celebration that implies all the city, okay? Not only the center. It's important to have this idea. Who is involved? The commissions, for sure, and for sure the city coordination, like firefighters, police, and also for financing these fallas. Some of them, we have sponsors and also local services. In a commission, that is the people, the neighborhood who pays the falla, who pays the fallas artist for having this falla on the street. We have the Fallera Mayor, as Marisa will explain after that, and also many roles. It's like a company. You have the logistics, the culture, the finance teams, and also the board, because every year you have many activities to take place. As for funding, that is important thing. The main fundraising item is the commission. The commission pays the falla, but with the partners that participate, the falleros that pays every month a fee, more or less 20, 30 euros a month to finance this, to take the budget for the falla. And also for the biggest one, there are sponsors. You will see on the main fallas, a sponsor from drinks, from every kind of products that want some advertising there. The falla, the commission is not only for the fallas. As I said before, you can participate in many activities throughout the year. You can visit a casal, where is the local place for the falla. Every more or less Friday or Thursday, they take some meetings, some things to join, to create the community and to prepare cultural activities, cultural events, well, many things. Maybe Marisa will enter more on this area. As I said, main features, the daily mascleta from 1st to 19th March, Planta, La Ofrenda, the Virgin Offering, and also the Crema. You have seen mascletas, so you can search on YouTube for mascletas. This is the offering where all the falleros and falleras give some flowers to the Virgin. Okay, it's very emotional. You can see traditional costumes, like Marisa will show you for sure. And the last thing of the fallas is about burning the fallas. As you see, the firefighters are very implied in this process because there are very little squares, very little venues that takes big fallas. So it's a big challenge to control the fire and to get no problem on the buildings surrounding the fire. Okay, this image belongs to Falla del Pilar 9029. So it's one of the most the biggest fallas in Valencia. Well, cost maybe for the future, some rising costs on the materials for the fallas, some sustainability requirement for sure, and the over-tourism problem that maybe is a big challenge for this situation. Well, this is a quick quiz. Okay, so the main features: tradition, creativity, community, art, because it's ephemeral that lives in public space, and ephemeral but unforgettable. You will get an image of the falla and you won't forget fallas for sure. I assure you. Well, other things like the fire exploration, and well, this is my data. I will show you quick how a falla is made in more detail and some sustainable events that are taking place now. I will do quickly because we don't have so much time. Let me see this because I didn't find. Okay, I find. Okay, I promise that it will be quick. Okay. So, no, sorry, it wasn't prepared. Valva, as I said, is my startup that powers Fallas artists through innovation, sustainability, and new technologies. But well, we get into the process of Fallas. We have a technological process, so we develop a 3D model. We make some nesting to fit the different parts into some polystyrene material, and we make some kind of puzzle and we put it together. So that's how a fire is made. The 100% of fires is nearly there. The fires are made on this process. So nutrients in materials, we are using some ecological polystyrene that comes only from plants. So we remove plastics from this side. We also are using sustainable painting. I think 5 years ago, the biggest fire, Convento Jerusalem, has only painting from an ecological point of view. Also, 3D printing is a big trend in fires today. So you can see fires that are built completely in 3D, but at the end, the sculpture, the final coating, the final preparation, the idea should be created by an artist. And there are problems from local government to lead this change. And also there are other fires like this one that are in other trends like experimental, like some research, like cardboard that are taking place. So you can visit fires from other sites. So they propose new ideas, new materials, and are in the more or less the neighborhoods on the outer Valencia. Well, this is all from my side. So I don't know, Anna, if I present after that my startup now, or what should I do now? Sorry.
Yes, we still have a few minutes. I think it's better to finalize the presentation now.
For sure, I haven't said, but if you have any question, don't hesitate to stop me. And now and after that, we can put some questions. I'm ready for this. Well, so maybe now I'm
questions to the end. So
I will share the. Sorry, Anna.
No, I'm just saying that it's better to keep the questions to the end so that we can ask.
Okay, sorry. Sorry. So I will put you a question, and I'm waiting for an answer. How many of you knows Tomorrowland Festival in Belgium?
Yeah.
No one? Oh, okay.
Yes.
I'm sure that you know Tomorrowland. So you will be surprised that a Fallas artist some years ago created the big scenography for Tomorrowland. So it was created from Valencia. So with this previous idea, and you see this big scenography for another festival that we have created in a local festival, that's the meaning of my startup that is called Balwa, okay? That in fact what it makes is putting the industry of the fallas in the service of the industry. So for theming, for sculptures, and if everything works, I will show you my presentation. Sorry, I'm not used to share. Okay, that's right. So, in fact, Balwa, sorry because I haven't achieved the translation, but I will translate because it's very easy. So Balwa is a theming company that puts in the focus the Fallas artists in other industries than the Fallas. So with the expertise of the Fallas artists, you can create scenography, you can create theme parks like Euro Disney, or you can create, as I will show you, this Rhino for a club in Marbella. So, and like this hand with the orange, these are for a beach club in Marbella. So the Fallas artist industry, not only for Fallas, but thinking on decoration, on theming, on providing services to hotels, to marketing campaigns, to I don't know, well, whatever you imagine, okay? So that's the idea of Valua. You can create magic walls from your idea. You have an idea of creating a sculpture of your company, a Fallas artist can create. We are focused on the lead generation, okay, with digital tools. We have tools for creating lead generation, manage this lead generation, and put all the work that comes to us in the Fallas Artist workshops. So it's our idea. It's like a marketplace, but without direct buying, because this is a personalized project. So we focus on digital platforms. We also manage with CRMs, and we focus on all the sides of the project, from design, from the lead generation. We make the design. Oh, sorry. So this is the idea. I'm gonna show you some brands, but Anna tells me that time is up. So after that, if you are interested, I can show you more information. Thanks, Anna. Sorry.
No worries. It's normally pitch. We need to see the times, but it was so interesting.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to just wrap up what you were saying so that you can finish, or are you okay? All good?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Thanks.
Okay, so thank you so much, Javi, for your presentation. So now we'll continue. Before we get to more questions, we'll continue. I'd like to invite to the stage of this webinar, Marisa Lynn Feiten. Please join us. Marisa.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, here we go. How's everyone doing? Let me just share my screen. Hi, everybody. I am Marissa Featon, as Anna mentioned. Thank you so much for inviting me to participate in this webinar. I am an American who has been living here in Valencia for 15 years. And this year I was Fallera Mayor of my falla. So I'm going to touch a little bit on some of the things that Javi talked about, but elaborate a little bit more in terms of behind the scenes, kind of the perspective of a fallera and also a fallera extranjera, a foreigner. So a little bit about me. I studied abroad in Valencia and experienced fallas for the first time in 2009. And as a foreigner, I'm sure many of you can also imagine that as you experience it the first time, it feels crazy. There's partying in the streets, lights everywhere, fireworks going off at all hours of the day. And for someone who had no idea what the festival was even about, it's very impactful. But once you get to learn a little bit more about what the festival actually means to the people of Valencia and the culture, it's really beautiful. So a little bit, people always ask about my timeline of how I became a Fallera Mayor as a foreigner. As I mentioned, my first fallas was in 2009 as a student, and I moved here permanently in 2011. So, yep, sorry. Someone have a question? Okay. So in 2011, I moved here permanently, and I knew that Valencia was going to be home for me, and I wanted to fully integrate into the culture, and I was very excited to start my life here. So the very next year, I arrived March 14th, so that year I couldn't participate in Fallas because Fallas was starting the day I moved here. But the very next year, I participated in my first ofrenda with our local falla. Many fallas allow people who are not falleros to join for the ofrenda, so you pay a fee, and then you are allowed to walk in the ofrenda as long as you have the dress and everything. So the very next year, I walked in my first ofrenda with my, well, soon-to-be husband. We got married that summer, and that was a very special moment. kind of moving forward, in 2014, I became a mother to my twins, and we still hadn't joined the Falla yet. We had some friends in the neighborhood who were part of it, and it was kind of in the back of our minds, but it wasn't the right moment as we had very small children. I wasn't quite ready to throw myself into that world yet. But then in 2018, our kids were 4 years old, and we felt that it was a good time to join our local Falla, Baira el Baira, La Canal de Navarrete, El Somni, and meet some other families in the area. And then in 2021, I joined the board. Javi mentioned how each Falla kind of works like an organization and a company. So I joined the board Juveniles, which I'll explain a little bit later, and started helping with some of the behind the scenes planning and work. And then this past year, in 2025, I was named Fallera Mayor to be Fallera Mayor this year, along with my children as Fallera Mayor Infantil and Presidente Infantil. So as Javi mentioned, what actually is Fallas? It is an UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage Festival. And I'm not going to go through all the details because he already talked about that. But one thing I really do want to focus on is that it's not a centralized festival. So it's really important to note that it is a neighborhood festival held by neighbors. So it's not held by the government, although there is some planning centralized in terms of the police force and bomberos and all the different permissions and things. But the festival, you can walk down most streets in Valencia and you will walk into a falla and be part of the festival. So that's something different compared to many other festivals around the world. It's not in one large tent like Sevilla for the Feria de Abril, or it's not in one main plaza. It's all around the city, which makes it really special. So Javi also talked about the origins of Las Fallas, but I want to talk a little bit more about the importance of what it means and the symbolism to the local identity of the Valencians. So while I'm not Valencian, I'm raising Valencian children. I'm married to a Valencian man, and our family is pro-Valencian in maintaining those traditions in terms of language and pride in the culture. So one of the beautiful things about Las Fallas is that even through dictatorship and wars and changing political climate, Valencia has always maintained Las Fallas, and they're really proud of those traditions. It's a beautiful multi-generational festival that brings grandparents and children and grandchildren together, all in the same casal and the same tent. And while there is some satire and humor and political critiques, the basis of it still is community celebration and remembering spring renewal, that with all the bad that in the world, comes good, and you can, like a phoenix in the flame, you burn the bad and start new. And so that is one of the beautiful things about Las Fallas and the powerful expression of the Valencian identity. So we already talked about what a falla is. This is a picture of me at our, with our Artista Fallero and our Artista Fallero last year. But one of the things to note as a foreigner who has just arrived in the city or even tourist is the magnitude of these beautiful structures and this artwork. I think a lot of Valencians take it for granted, the beautiful living art, well, not living, but free art, basically. You walk down the street and it's free art, and it's something really beautiful, and it's not meant to stay here. It's not meant to sit in a museum. It's meant to be enjoyed for a short time and then burn. So that is something very different compared to a lot of other festival. So one of the first events that happens in Las Fallas is La Crida, and that is the official beginning of Las Fallas, which is held the last Sunday of February. And the Fallera Mayor of Valencia receives the keys to the city and welcomes falleros, foreigners, Valencians, and people of the world to participate in Las Fallas. And one of the important reasons of why it's held in the Torres de Serranos is that historically was the gates to the city. So holding it there really symbolizes opening up the city to foreigners and tourists and people to come and visit and celebrate together with Valencians, which is a really beautiful concept of community and togetherness. And the famous saying that the Fallera Mayor of Valencia always says is "Ya estén en Fallas," and that means we're now in Fallas and everyone can celebrate together. So we already talked about La Mascleta being fireworks that are more focused on sound rather than, a beautiful show in the sky. But one of the things to note about La Mascleta is it is also showcasing the local pyrotechnic artistry and industry. They do kind of compete to who can have the best show and who has the best terremoto or the earthquake that ends the Mascleta. And all of that noise, if you are just stumbling into it and you're not quite understanding what it is, it's really a celebration of the end of winter and the arrival of spring with noise and firecrackers, gunpowder, explosions. But it's not just explosions for the sake of explosions. They are meticulously orchestrated to explode in rhythm and build until they crescendo into the earthquake of noise and vibrations that you should feel in your chest. And that's a very, very special experience if you are in the Plaza Ayuntamiento, sharing with thousands of people that exact moment and all feeling it together. La Planta, as mentioned, is when all of the fallas are completed and assembled in the streets. So specifically for the Falla Commission, La Planta is a night of work. So if you are, even if you're in a small falla or a large falla, the entire commission is working together to assemble the completed project. As mentioned, many of the ninots and pieces come wrapped separately, and then they all have to be assembled in the street that night to be judged the next day. So the Planta Infantil, the children's falla, is assembled on March 14th, and the Planta Grande, or the adult falla, which usually has more adult themes, is assembled on March 15th. And then prizes are given for the best ninot, humor, satire, overall creativity, sustainability, and there are some more experimental and innovative designs that some of the fallas have been doing. Our falla actually used to be in this category, in the experimental category. This past year, we went back to the traditional sense of a falla. This picture is a picture of my two children picking up their ninot. So the ninot that they're holding is the ninot that was placed in the City of Arts and Science for the Exposición de Ninots. So each falla places two ninots in the Exposición, a children's ninot and a large ninot, to be judged and to hopefully win a prize. And if you are the best ninot, then you get saved and your ninot goes into the Museo Fallero. So our children's ninot did not win this year, but our adult ninot did win, and we won best ninot of our section. So we were excited about that. The ofrenda officially began, it's one of the later events in Fallas, it officially began in 1945 It is held in the Plaza de la Virgen. Commissions, all of the commissions of Valencia parade carrying flowers to the Virgen de los Desamparados, Our Lady of the Forsaken, also affectionately known as the Chipurradeta or the Hunchback, because she's pictured kind of hunching over or protecting the vulnerable or forsaken. And the commissions parade two different routes. So there's the San Vicente route and the Calle de la Paz route. And then they unite in Plaza de la Virgen, and the flowers that they offer are what make up her beautiful cloak. And this is a community event, but it's also a very emotional and spiritual event. While you're parading with your commission, you're also having a personal moment, and it is a lot more solemn than some of the other festivities in Las Fallas. So then on March 19th, as mentioned, La Crema in Valenciano means to burn, and everything burns. So these structures, while beautiful, are very short-lived, and that is a sign of creation and celebration. But then there is destruction and renewal, and a lot of people ask, why do they burn them? They're so beautiful, and obviously there's a symbolism behind it, but also if you don't burn them, then what are we going to do for the next year? The artists have to have work for the next year, and they need to create new beautiful structures. So that is part of the destruction and renewal of the festival. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about the indumentaria valenciana, and this is the clothing, the century clothing that we wear. And I have to say that before becoming a Fallera Mayor, I thought I knew what indumentaria valenciana was, but I was so wrong. There are so many different tiny details of these outfits that you can't even imagine. So from the underskirts, as you can see here in the left picture, I'm pictured there in what is called an ahuecador or a cancan. And this is a skirt that is under the actual skirt to make it poof out. And I'm there with the Fallera Mayor of Valencia and the Fallera Mayor Infantil of Valencia of 2025 last year. And so here are some images. You can see even the shoes are custom shoes made with the fabric to match your dress, custom socks. The hair is done in the style of the 18th and 19th century. So pictured here, you can see, if you see the short sleeve dress, that's 19th century style, or manga farol, and the manga francesa, or the French style 3/4 length or long sleeve, is the 18th century style. And each outfit has different protocols. So when you are attending an ofrenda or a procession, women must wear a mantilla or the veil. Some Falla commissions allow you to choose the color. Some Falla commissions prefer you to wear white or black. But for every procession, the veil must be worn. As I mentioned, the different style dresses are 18th century or 19th century. If you're wearing the 19th century short sleeve manga farol dress, you must wear the side pieces of the hair, which are called the rodetes. And if you're wearing the 18th century, you can choose to wear them or not. Also pictured here, you can see my son is wearing the typical faragüey, and that's seen with a vest and a kind of looser fitting blouse with these looser fitting shorts. And then here's also pictured my husband wearing the typical torrentí, and that kind of looks like pirate pants with the jacket. And then I'm also in a typical huertana dress, so what you might have imagined the women from the countryside of Valencia wearing, and that is seen with a looser blouse underneath a corset with a manteleta, kind of like an apron in front. And that is typical for when we are doing the traditional regional dances. So I also participate in danzas, which is the typical Valencian dances. So Life Inside a Falla, as mentioned, is like an organization, but it is all voluntary. So I don't know if any of the larger fallas, their president earns a salary, but at least in all of the smaller fallas, it is completely voluntary. So the official sign-up, the falla will have what is called an apunta. And with the apunta, they may host an event in the neighborhood. They may do social media online, advertising the falla. But it's basically saying our doors are open and you're welcome to come and learn a little bit more about our falla and join. Some fallas have open rolling year round if they have openings, while others have a specific day for the apunta. And as mentioned before, it is a social club with membership dues, and those dues pay for all of the different events throughout the year, as well as the actual structure and falla that will, and the artisan to make the falla, the artista fallero, for fallas. The beautiful thing about Falla Commission is that it is multi-generational, so all ages are welcome, from tiny babies to senior citizens, and it's a really great way for families to meet other families and friends in the neighborhood, and they do host year-round events, so it's not just the week of fallas. We have, at least in my falla, we have dinners every Friday, in the casal, different parties, fundraising throughout the year. We celebrate all of the different holidays. So in San Juan, we have an event and a mini hoguera, a mini bonfire, and a mini falla where we make the falla ourselves. The kids make it. We participate in different cultural events, different processions. We do events for Halloween, Christmas, and all of the different things. So it really is a great organization to meet other people, meet other families, and have fun in your neighborhood. One of the things to note,
Marisa, sorry to cut you, but we're achieving the end. So if you can close up, don't need to do a hard stop, just start finalizing. Thank you.
Sure, not a problem. So, can you hear me still?
Yes.
Okay. So, in the structure of the falla, you have the honorary roles as a fallera mayor, and you have the organizational roles like the president, the protocol, the festejos, who creates the different parties and events. But as the fallera mayor, you are the maximum representative of your falla. So as my job this past year to be the fallera mayor, I was the face of my falla within our sector, within our federation, and of course within fallas as a whole. So I was expected to attend events. I was on the radio, I was on TV. That's also a special case because I am a fallera mayor americana, so that's a little bit different. The Gala Fallera, the Macro Desperta of the city of Valencia, and all of the different presentations throughout the year. So I'm going to finish up here, and if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the presentation. It was wonderful. We're going to move on to the last presentation of today so that we can go on to the Q&A. So I'd like to invite Oscar to join us.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Wait a moment. Let me share the screen. Wait. Okay. Okay, thank you very much for being here. Well, I am part of the Valencia Nomads Hub, but today I'm speaking from Pleiad. We are an innovation consultancy, and we are focused on helping organizations, companies turn innovation into practical results. So today, since most of you work on technology, I'd like to share a toward perspective of Fallas through that lens of innovation. Okay. Actually, Xavi has already introduced some key ideas around digitalization, sustainability, and I will use this as a starting point and look a bit more closely on how innovation and tradition coexist in Fallas, what's already changing, and what is still difficult to solve or to change. So, well, when most people think about Fallas, of course, we think about tradition, art, fire, and of course, that is true. But behind the spectacle, there is also a very complex creative and production ecosystem, let's say. Okay, Fallas bring together craftsmanship, design, fabrication, logistics, and also all the matters related to the management of public space. So they are not only cultural heritage, they are also, I think, a very interesting example on how a traditional sector can absorb new tools and new ways of working. And I think this is especially interesting for an international audience, okay, because it shows something very Valencian, but also very global, okay? How innovation doesn't always replace tradition, but it may help tradition adapt and stay relevant, and that's the key idea of my presentation. And well, as Xavi introduced before, I think the first big area of innovation in Fallas is digitalization. Fallas are still deeply artisanal. That the artist is still at the center of the process, but the toolkit of the artist has changed. Okay, today digital modeling, 3D design, fabrication tools have already become part of many of how many monuments are conceived and produced. And with these tools help with complex forms, more precise planning, more efficient production. Okay, and universities in Valencia, companies are exploring the use of 3D modeling, open digital tools, 3D printing preparation workflows to support the production of Fallas. And we have been working also in some projects to also streamline and optimize this process. And well, in practice, this means that that a highly traditional craft has become really digitally enabled. Okay, so large models can be prepared in digital environments, broken into sections, fabricated or prototype more easily, as Xavi showed. And I'd say that overall, there is a growing overlap, even a consolidated overlap between Fallas and contemporary design and creativity practices. Okay, so anyway, the important point is that technology is not replacing craftsmanship here. I'm sure that Xavi will agree. Technology is supporting the artisan. Okay, it helps artists work faster, test ideas or generate ideas more easily, more quickly, and handle the complexity of the artistic creation in a more controlled way. Okay, so when we talk about innovation in Fallas, I think one of the clearest examples is the hybrid model. Okay, the traditional artistic knowledge combined with digital production tools. And well, as also Xavi commented, the second major area is sustainability. Okay, I think that probably this is the most important topic, and it's also the most difficult one. Okay, traditional Fallas production relies heavily on a material, EPS, expanded polystyrene. This is a wonderful material. It's lightweight, practical, it's easy to shape, and that explains why it became so widespread. Okay, but this value also comes with a clear environmental cost. Okay, I will not hide it to you. There is a clear evidence of the environmental impact in Fallas, okay, especially in air quality and the use of materials. For example, there are studies in Valencia that show that short air pollution spikes during the festival, including pollutant particles, metal-rich aerosols from the burning from the fireworks, okay? And even current production methods using EPS can generate a significant waste of material of up to 50% during the machining, okay? So what honestly, what I think is still missing is a complete widely used life cycle footprint for the whole fallas. And well, the environmental issue is not only what happens during the final burning, it starts, as I told you, during the production process. Okay, so I'd say that the sustainability challenge around fires is not cosmetic. Okay, it's not something that must be addressed. And at the same time, this is the field where I think that some of the most promising innovation is happening. Okay, and I'd say that the sector is exploring two paths. First one, the use of recycled materials and more circular production approaches. Okay, are starting to appear, especially in combination with digital fabrication methods, and the use or the recovery of lower impact traditional materials, cardboard, wood, straw. Okay, but anyway, the challenge is that no single option matches the expanded polystyrene on cost, is finish and production speed at the same time. And yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you, but we've reached the time limit.
Okay.
Do you
I have to
close what you're saying so that you can just finalize, and then hopefully you can have just a few more minutes so people can ask their questions.
Yeah, sure. So I think that in this field, in sustainability, when we talk about the sustainability in fires, it's important to be honest. The transition is not simple. Okay, new material, new approaches have to be technically reliable, economically viable, and still compatible with the artistic quality and practical needs of the workshops. Okay. Well, there are advances also in structural reliability and safety of the monuments. Okay, by applying engineering tools, better calculations, better technical support. Okay, and I think that for an international audience, I think it's a useful reminder that innovation in cultural heritage is not only about digital experience sustainability, but it's also about reducing risk and a better visitor experience. And also related with this experience, I'd say that the innovation in fire doesn't stop in the workshop. It also affects the public experience. And there are recent developments in accessibility, real-time event tracking. For example, during the ofrenda, digital tools allow people to follow the moment of commissions. For example, using chips attached to the banners of the commissions. And for example, a research group we collaborate with of the Polytechnic University of Valencia this year used drones to estimate the number of people visiting the cathedral during fallas to show how technology may help both in preserving historic monuments and ensuring, again, a better visitor experience. So to sum up, yeah, I think fallas are a very good example of how tradition and innovation can work together. Digital tools, new materials, engineering, new technologies, okay? But I also that from an innovation point of view, it's also important to recognize the challenges, okay? And the transformation of the tradition, the adaptation of the tradition also takes time and it needs investment by all the parties involved in the fallas. So the key message I would like is that
to stop you now because we already ran out of time completely.
Okay.
I'm really sorry. I just want to know if anybody has a question because I know that several people sent questions here. Would you? I'm seeing a question here. I don't know if you guys want to ask your own questions. I'm going to ask the one that's here. Could someone describe how more or less a budget is splitting during creating fallas? What's the percentage going to 3D modeling, materials, work of artists, and etc.? Anybody knows that question? That's a very good question. That's a very tricky question. There's another question here. Would like to understand the more economical part on the region. What are the costs related to fallas? What is the infrastructure? The impact on tourism, financial contribution. What does falla contribute to the region financially? Xavi and Marisa, you're also very invited to join to answer these questions.
Okay, so for the question related with the, sorry, I went with, I discovered after that. Okay, it's a good question, okay? A falla has several parts, as you mentioned. So, in fact, there is no budget for 3D modeling, okay? There is a budget for designing the falla. for the sketch and also 3D modeling. So many times the designer and the 3D modeler are hired outside the Fallas artist workshop. Okay, there are all the services, all the parts. Not all the parts are inside the workshop. Okay, the workshop workers. So in terms of design, more or less on the biggest fallas, it's about 10% of the budget. Okay, it's about, if you see, for instance, Falla Plaza del Pilar this year that has a budget of 180,000 euros. Okay, so more or less between 15 and 18, and 18 euros will be on the design part. Okay, more or less. It's an approximate, and every designer has his own fees.
Thank you so much. There's another question. What simple actions could be prioritized by visitors to reduce the footprint in terms of sustainability without affecting the experience?
Wow.
That's a good question as well.
Wow.
That's a great question. I actually have some input on this. And one of the number one things that I noticed as a fallera, it would be to use the designated fire areas for throwing firecrackers. So what a lot of tourists don't know is that there are designated areas for actually using the firecrackers and throwing them and lighting different little fireworks. And that way it's in a smaller area that can be contained, controlled, and also cleaned up more easily. And many people tend to just throw them wherever throughout the city, and that does create more litter and more cleanup for the city as a whole.
That makes so much sense. I have one question for you guys. I have listened somewhere that the Burning Man festival in the US was created. One of the people who created that festival came from Valencia and was one of the inspirations. Is this true?
Yes,
It's
I
a
met
friend
him.
of mine, in fact. Miguel Arraiz comes from Castilfai Marqués de Joan Falla Commission. That
Yes.
is, you have seen the cardboard elephant that I have shown you. This is one falla from this commission. And in 2010, he is an architect and he built the first experimental fire for this commission. My girlfriend and my son are from this commission, and I was in this commission, so I know very well the story. Okay, so he as an architect thought, okay, we want to change something in this fire. We want to make some ecological, some other artistic languages. So he started in this fire, building great fires. I encourage you to search on internet Castelfai Marqués de Joan and Miguel Arraiz, and you will see many interesting things. And after that, he joined an fires artist called David Moreno, and he created a collective, an artist collective called Pink Intruder. Okay, and after that, they go for building a falla in the desert. Okay, so many years ago, I think maybe 10 years ago or more, that was called the Renaissance, and they took the falla to the desert, and they came back with the fire and they burned it in Torrent, a village from the metropolitan area of Valencia. And after that, he has followed without this fire artist, and he has presented last year a project for the temple that is one of the main features of the building of the Burning Man. And well, he is the first Spanish to create the temple, and the first Valencian for sure. And in fact, this year he will build, is in media, a new sculpture for Burning Man, and he keeps as a big ambassador for Burning Man and for connecting the Fallas and Burning Man. In fact, he has created Flame Foundation in
Thank you so much, everyone who joined. It was a great event. I'm really happy to have welcomed all of you here today. Thank you so much. We're going to have to end. It's such a good event. I wish we could continue talking about this all day. Maybe you can do an in-person event another day and talk about Fallas again, because this is a really cool topic. Thank you so much once again for all the participation. Have a great